Today, we're going to talk about a book with a title that, let's be honest, we've all felt at some point. Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erickson. It's a massive bestseller and for a really good reason. It promises to help us finally understand the people we just can't seem to click with.
I mean, really. You know the feeling, right? You're in a meeting, maybe at a family dinner, and you're explaining something that seems so obvious, but you're just getting blank stares. And you're thinking to yourself, what is going on? Am I speaking a completely different language here? It's super frustrating, and it happens to all of us.
But what if? What if the problem isn't that everyone else is an idiot? The core idea of this book is that these constant misunderstandings have almost nothing to do with how smart someone is. Nope, it's actually much simpler. We all just have fundamentally different ways of behaving and communicating. And if you feel like you're not always heard or understood, well, you're not alone. The truth is, most of us go through life feeling like only a tiny handful of people actually get us. The rest of the time, it's just this friction, this constant miscommunication. But the really good news is, there's a way to fix it.
So, to help us cut through all that confusion, the book introduces this really elegant and simple tool. It's a 4-color system, and it's not just something the author made up, it's based on decades of psychological research. Think of it like a map to understanding people. So, let's dive in and see how it works.
Okay, so here's the whole framework. It's basically built on 2 simple lines that create 4 boxes. First, you've got a vertical line. People at the top are more focused on tasks, on getting things done. People at the bottom, they're more focused on relationships and people. Then you've got a horizontal line. On the right, you have the outgoing extroverts, and on the left, the more reserved introverts. See? These 2 lines create 4 different quadrants, each with its own color: red, yellow, green, and blue. Now, it's really important to get this next part. These behaviors, the colors, they aren't just random personality quirks. They're actually the very top layer, the part of us that everyone sees. But underneath that, they're driven by our attitudes and even deeper, by our most fundamental core values. So when we start to understand someone's behavior, we're actually getting a peek into what truly makes them tick.
All right, let's start on the right side of the matrix. This is the extroverted half. These are the people who get their energy from action and from being around others. So let's meet the reds and the yellows. Now, at first glance, reds and yellows seem pretty similar. They're both outgoing, they have a ton of energy, they talk a lot. But they point that energy in completely different directions. One is all about the what, and the other is all about the who.
Reds are the drivers. They're the alpha types, ambitious, fast-paced, and dominant. Their entire focus is on getting things done, winning, and taking on challenges. They have zero patience for chit-chat or long, rambling stories. So, for example, if you're trying to convince a red of something, just get to the point. Start with the goal, the bottom line. They'll actually respect you for it.
Then you've got the yellows. They have that same big extroverted energy, but they use it to connect with people. These are your social butterflies, the inspiring, charismatic, super optimistic people in the room. They love talking, brainstorming crazy ideas, and having fun. So if you're working with a yellow, don't be the one who immediately says, "That'll never work." Build on their ideas. They run on positivity and creativity.
Okay, let's cross over to the left side of our matrix. This is the introverted half. These are the greens and the blues. They're more reserved, a little quieter, and they like to process things internally before they speak or act.
And just like our extroverts, greens and blues share that common trait of being more quiet and thoughtful. But again, where they put their focus is what makes them completely different. One is all about people and stability, and the other, it's all about process and getting things right. Greens are actually the most common personality type out there. and you can think of them as the glue that holds everything together. They're so patient, incredibly reliable, and super supportive. They really don't like conflict or big, sudden changes. They value stability and teamwork more than anything. So if you have to introduce a huge change to a green person, give them a heads up. Explain why it's happening and reassure them. They just need a little time to process. And finally, we have the blues. These are the analytical, detail-oriented perfectionists. Before a blue makes any decision, they need to have all the data, all of it. They're logical, systematic, and they value quality and accuracy above all else. So if you're giving a presentation to a blue, you better believe your facts are correct. They will check, and you earn their trust by being thorough and accurate. So you can probably start to see now how these types might clash, right? You can picture a fast-moving, get-it-done red driving a slow, methodical blue absolutely crazy, or how a high-energy, talkative yellow could totally overwhelm a quiet, stability-loving green. So the big question is, how do we use this to actually communicate better?
Okay, here it is. This is your practical cheat sheet. If you're talking to a red, be direct. Focus on the results. Get straight to the point. With a yellow, bring that positive energy. Be open to their ideas, make it fun. For a green, be patient, be supportive. Show them you care about the team and that things will be okay. And for a blue, you gotta bring the facts, the data, the details. Give them space to think it through. See? It's all about learning to speak their language.
And this, right here, is probably the most important takeaway from the entire book. The point of all this isn't to label people or put them in boxes, and it's definitely not about trying to change who they are. It's about developing the empathy to understand why they do what they do, and then meeting them where they are.
So, I want you to think about that person you just can't seem to get on the same page with. Are they really an idiot, or are they just a different color than you? Because understanding that one little thing, well, it just might change everything.